Whoop, whoop. We are live. Hey, everybody. Let's give everybody a moment to get into the throne room. Let's do that thing that we do best. Let's like and share. Invite
Amen.
everyone in. We want to welcome you here today. Let's give everybody a moment to get into the everyone
Awesome. Awesome.
in. Yeah, I'm excited. All righty.
Bag
Here we
lady,
go. Oh, yeah.
you
Sing
got to
Erica Badu. Yes, sing that right there. Join us now. Okay, it's all good. Well, everyone, we just want to say welcome, welcome, welcome into the throne room, the place that we have created for us to be able to purge from our issues, heal from our wounds, and find rest so that we may be able to transform into that which we have been called and created to become. And you all know what that is. That is
Royalty.
royalty. So we
Yes,
are
yes.
excited today because we are now moving into a new season. We're getting ready to prepare ourselves alongside of you guys for the new year. And so our conversation today is going to be about a new year, but a not so new you. And right next to me, right here, if y'all can see my finger, if you know the digital stuff don't take me out, right next to me is my friend, my sister, my road dog, my I don't know, she everything to me. She Aunt Jackie, she Jackie, she Cookie, she everybody. Welcome Jackie Oliver from For Your Mind Inc. um how you doing, Jackie?
Any day above ground is a good day.
Amen to that.
Amen.
And then we got right below me on this end. It don't happen without her. None of this would be if she wasn't in existence. Our one and our only Mommy Hayes, Minister Debra Ivory Chandler. We welcome you. How are you feeling today, Mom?
Greetings. I'm good. Glad to be here. Glad to be here.
Yay. And then of course, I gotta go this way. My brother. My
Ned!
brother from another mother. He hold it down for the minute here. And I know we get on his nerves all the time as he's the only man in here. He feels that he is
Woo!
unheard, right? That we take over. But we just want to tell Ned we love you. We welcome him to the
Wisdom speaks.
conversation. Yes. Ned White of Pure Care Ministries is joining us again today. How you feeling, Ned?
I'm blessed, sister, and I'm thankful. Even when I got to fight with y'all to just get a zing in every now and then, I'm still thankful.
We promise
I'm,
today
I'm,
is gonna be
I'm
a little
We
different.
promise.
listen, listen. I'm just thankful I'm counted. You allow me in the room with y'all because y'all some
400
powerful
glad to be in the
sisters.
number.
Y'all
That's
some
it.
powerful sisters, so I'm in the room.
But listen, your voice is wanted, you're heard. And today's show, we had a topic in mind, New Year, not so new
New
you.
Year.
And what I'm going to say is normally, we start these things out with one thought process in mind. But today, my brother Ned, he posted up a post this morning that had me going. And then I,
Yeah.
I was on the phone with my mom and I was like, ooh, this it. And I bet you
That's
thought I was
it.
joking when I said, oh, this the show. No, I meant this
No,
is
I know
what.
exactly you. Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So
Yep.
Ned, you said the post said you can't defeat your demons if you are still enjoying their company.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't defeat your demons if you're
Powerful.
still enjoying their company. Now, I want you to open this up for today because you posted that. How did that
Yeah. What
touch
was
So
the
you?
background?
Yeah. Well, tell
yeah.
us about what
So the
led you to
so
that.
right. So the backstory to that. So I subscribe to a very powerful brother, Eric Thomas, uh, and
Yeah.
that was
We.
one of the messages he dropped. And when it popped up on my feed this morning, it literally made me. I was literally because I had been under the weather, so I was laying in
Mm.
my bed looking at the post, and when I had to sit up because it just spoke so
Mm,
loudly to my
Volume.
spirit that so many times in life we say we want change, we talk about what we want to do different, we talk about our changing our mindsets, but we still hang on to some demons because we've just become so conditioned and comfortable with their presence. And so,
Yeah.
a lot of us do it. I'm guilty of it. And I'm not even going to generalize it. I'm guilty of sometimes saying I want to do something different or better, but I'm still locked arm in arm with a demon that has me comfortable with the mess that I grew up with. And so until we learn to let go of that stuff, we're going to still have those demons around us. We're going to still dwell in some of that craziness that we say with our mouth we want to do different, but in our actions and behind closed doors, we do something different. And so that's
Wow.
what that said to me all morning and all day today. I've been in that because it was such a powerful message, and it's short text to just say, listen, if you really want to change, if you really want to do stuff different, it takes 100% commitment to do so. It can't happen with you doing just 50% or, hey, only when I'm out in the spotlight do I do this right. It means that even in the dark places, in your quiet time, and behind closed doors, you are living right because it's the right thing to do for you.
Yeah.
Because it's right.
Yeah. So welcome everybody. Hey Melvin. Hey Calvin. We're so glad to see you guys. If this is the first time you are joining us, we want to say welcome. But most importantly, we want you to participate. So if you have any questions, any comments, any thoughts, we want you to share. Drop them into the comment box and we'll see them. We want to give you a shout out. Feel free, even if you don't agree with something. We want to hear your voice.
Right?
This isn't about us. This is about everybody. We create this space for us to be able to come together and do this thing called life. None of us here on this platform proclaim to be experts, although we do have some credentials and expertise at this table in our own right, but we're coming as people. We're coming here, people who have issues and who are just trying to figure it all out, and we're wanting to do it with you in community. So Ned, I'm glad. Mom, go ahead and follow up on that.
Well, you know what? This is for Jackie. Because
Mm,
Jackie
Oh,
said something too when Ned Gay told her we were talking about that quote, that post. Jackie said, "Well, if we were enjoying them, are they still demons?" Talk to us
mm,
about that one, Jackie.
Sometimes we find pleasure in things and comfort in
yeah.
things. Although we want change, although we want greater, although we want better. However, we revert to the old nature because we're comfortable there. And
Mm-hmm.
when we're comfortable there, we find what brings us comfort, and some of us get stuck. So when you see that I want better, I want greater, but you know what? I'm good right here. I'm comfortable right here.
Mm.
And sometimes people don't see them as demons because they're comfortable, and they get caught in the deception of the situation where it wasn't meant for you to be comfortable. It wasn't meant for you to be in the same old place this year, December 29th, that you were last year, December 29th. But because we're comfortable, we don't see it as demons. We see it as, oh, I'm good. Oh no, that's not
Mm.
that's not who I am. Or the biggest lie of them all, that was somebody else, not me.
mm,
Right? But in all reality, we want more, we want better, we want greater, but we stay stuck to the same old stuff and the same old person, and you can't go into a new being the same old anything, which is why it says old things are passed away and all
mm,
things become new. So some
Yeah.
people get so comfortable that they don't recognize that, you know what, it's a hindrance, it's a demon, it's counterproductive because they're comfortable. And in all reality, they're going to be stuck there December 29, 2022. And we'll be having another conversation. But some people don't see it as demons. They don't
mm,
see it as something that's fighting against their destiny or their purpose. They see it as that's
mm,
beyond me, or I'm not educated, so I'm going to stay on my level. Who's to say? I know people that run businesses and corporations without degrees. They got the
mm,
experience. If
All
they'd have
day
said,
long.
no, that's not me. Oh, I'm good, and let the facade of something fearfully keep them stuck. And in all reality, anything that's not taking you to your purpose or your destiny is a demon.
mm,
Anything that is
Yep.
counterproductive to where you are ordained to be is the devil. And
mm,
sometimes we try to make this a spiritual thing. It is. because we're all created for something greater. But then, that's why I don't do New Year resolutions. I can stop and start any time of the year. I ain't got to wait till
Amen.
January 1st. It's just that
Mm.
that imperative. So when you look at it, some people don't see it as demons. Some people don't see it as comfortable. Some people don't see it. However you see it, you stuck. You're still in the same old place, and it's a whole new year. Some people may say it's not a demon. It's family history. Oh, you got a black cloud over us. No, you can move. You ain't got to stay there. But you know what? You got to
Mm.
be ready for change. And you know what? I've learned you can't change nobody. I had to say prayer changes things, but God changes people. And when they're ready, they're gonna be
Amen.
the same old you going into another new year, making a resolution that you ain't gonna keep past January 31st.
Mhm. So Melvin says, we all seek pleasure and run away from pain, but I believe also many find pleasure in pain because they have become accustomed to things and it is then a way of life. This is why people get stuck.
Mm,
Yeah. Mom, I see your face. You have some thoughts back there.
mm,
Go ahead.
Come on,
Share.
mom. Come on,
You
mom.
know,
Share.
I was when you were saying that, I'm thinking about how we justified the things that we do, the demons, those things that are negative. We justify and give ourselves reasons and excuses for staying in them. Yes, because we do. The scripture says we find pleasure in those things. They comfort. Those are the things that we have latched hold of. Think about
mhm,
addictions.
mhm,
There are so many. There are some people who are deeply embedded in an addiction, and they're not saying, "I'm good. I'm not addicted. I'm okay. I can deal with this thing anytime I want to, and get out of it. I can pick it up." And maybe the reason why they're engaging in these things is because of the comfort and the escape that it gives them from the reality of them being stuck. So I don't look at where I am. Because I'm dealing and engaging in these things that satisfy me in another way. It would be wonderful if we only had one facet to ourselves, but there are many
mhm,
different facets of us. And so I always think about, if we are not engaging and connecting in anything outside of what we've become accustomed to, our community, then we are dealing with and playing around with demons, or things in the demonic realm. And I
Yeah.
know that I'm
yeah.
going to take a lot of flack on this one. When I think about the cultural wounds that we have experienced as a people, and then
Mm.
we connect to these movements, and
Mm,
we
Talk
say
about Black
that
Lives
the
Matter.
movement is our speaking out and reclaiming our identity, but embedded in that movement is some demonic things that are
Talk
going on
about
that
it.
get caught up
Jeez.
and staying and stuck in the poor me mentality. And so we can't
mm,
break free because we are, I know you guys were saying it, because we're still claiming and holding on, this happened, and that happened, and the other thing happened, and this is why I'm doing this, and I got to do this because I got to fight. And I build up these walls to separate me and keep me. Now, the same wall that I built to keep somebody out and to protect me, it got me in prison.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
yeah, absolutely.
Calvin says we must die first to be reborn. Are you willing to die? Are you scared of death? Are you scared of the
Mm,
responsibility of success or improvement? That's a deep thing. So,
Because
yes, it
we've
is.
so
gotten used to that. It's like, who will I be if I let go of these demons?
Mm,
Because now
oh,
I
oh,
found
oh,
my
oh,
Yeah,
identity in
yeah,
that thing.
yeah, yeah.
So I don't
ah,
want to
Because
kill it, because then I'm
because
killing me, and now I got to go in search of who am I going to be without this stuff that I've connected
there it
myself
is.
to, these
Yep.
relationships, substances, even sexually. I was reading something that was posted. A young lady had written, I think, a Therese, I can't remember her last name. And I think I wrote it down somewhere. I'm looking through my book here. And she had talked about, and I don't know, I shouldn't say this either because I know I might get flack on this one too.
it's okay.
Um, Black men becoming hypersexual, and aggressive because they have this inability. A lot of them find themselves in a place not able to stand and support their families and take on the care that they need to offer. And so because I feel myself having a deficit in this area, I'm going to, this thing is easier for me to do. My manhood now becomes connected to my sexuality rather than my ability to care for my family and to meet these societal expectations. So I hold on to this thing, and this thing becomes a demon. Because now and I know this is not my ground, Ned. This is your area. So
I have some response.
Because it's not just about men; it's women too.
Absolutely, because it's a mindset that we're talking about. You're talking about. I mean, to kind of, I want to touch on what Calvin said as well. But we're dealing with spiritual warfare, right?
Yeah.
And spiritual warfare does not have a sex attached to it.
No, it doesn't.
There's no male or female gender attached to spiritual warfare. It's your spirit that's under attack, and it is holy.
Yes.
And so when it gets attacked, it doesn't matter whether you're male or female, because trust me, as the young lady stated to you, you said in her post that there are some brothers out there who are attaching their masculinity to their sexuality. That same thing applies to there's some women who are attaching their femininity to their sexuality, and all of it is destructive as well. Behavior, right? You know, when you see the young ladies walking around here with very little clothes on and, you know, showing all of their wares, you know, it makes a brother like myself say, where's the mystery in what you're offering me? Because I see it all. So I don't need to think about what possibly I can have. I see everything you got. But to speak to something that Calvin said, and I appreciate Calvin's comment, you know, the fear of being reborn. And I think there's a lot of us who have had an opportunity to, as I always say to folks, I had a funeral for the old Ned White, right? I had to literally write a eulogy to say, yeah, that man is no longer here. He is 6 feet under. I had to kill him off. So anybody who's looking for me, I might have committed that one murder in my life. It's killing off the old Ned. But understanding that when I did it, it required me to be prepared to redefine and assert myself as who this new Ned was going to be.
Yes.
And I couldn't do that without having God in my life, without surrounding myself with the right people to help me understand how to cultivate and develop that new creature. And it's not an easy task. And if you're not really surrounded or prepared or in the right place, it is scary. Absolutely scary, which is why a lot of folks are afraid to do the change thing, right? Because it's like, oh my God, I'm used to this person. I gotten this under control. I know how to manipulate the things that go on in my world as they currently exist.
Or it's wrapped up in New Year's resolution. We say it's a resolution instead of really dealing and identifying.
Yep. I'm gonna do new this year.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do stuff differently than I did last year. Well, if you're operating in that place of fear where you really won't let go of the old, you'll be, as we stated, it'll be a new year. Yeah, no doubt about that. But will it be a new you?
Right. And Calvin actually says, go ahead, Mama. I was just going to read off what one of our listeners said.
I'm still dealing with Jackie. Because in the culture that that what we see, and Ned, you were touching on this thing and talking about speaking to it too, and Calvin was speaking to it too, because if we're not able to examine ourselves, it's the standard that has been set. If our standard is dealing with this demon is my friend, you know, then I'm not going to be relating to it as a demon, because this thing and this experience, this way of life has become comfortable and familiar. And for me, in my community and in my world, this is how it's supposed to be done. And
can we add a clarification? Can we just add a clarification on what, because there are some people who are on here who are not with the religious stuff, and so they'll say they don't connect with demonic insights. So could
You
we
should.
just give a quick understanding of what we mean by demonic? Because for those who aren't uh, in the walk of faith. So I'll say anything that is considered a disorderly attachment, anything that would consider to be hindering to your progress, anything that could essentially tie you down, become a stronghold in your life that will prevent you from being able to move forward. Anything with a purpose to stop you from walking in your own purpose. Anything that has a purpose to hinder you from seeing you, from showing up to whom you've been called to be, is what we are considering demonic in this conversation. Anybody else feel free to add to that, but we want to make sure that we have clarity for the listeners today.
So yes,
Mhm.
because those are demonic forces, or those things that are working um, in opposition to our becoming our best selves.
Mhm.
And it is a power, that something that gets attaches to your spirit and draws you, get so much so that you could get to a point where you're no longer in, well, you're like, I don't even feel like myself. um when we talk about it from a spiritual perspective, when we talk about God forces, the forces of God, when we talk about the forces of good versus the forces of evil, we talk,
Light
when we
versus
say it that
darkness.
way to break it down. So we say
Mhm.
good versus evil, and then the evil realm would be the demons. And, they have all these Charmed and different shows that come on that talk about witchcraft and all of those type of things. Those things would be dabbling in the demonic. When we talk about devil worship, things like that. The demonic for working in the realm of the demonic, and there is those are spiritual forces, just like we talk about forces, God force of God, and God having the influence on our life to do good. The same thing
Mhm.
happens. There's like for everything, there's an equal and an opposite.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So
Thank you
that's
for
what we're
that.
talking about.
You can finish
Yeah.
what you were saying. I think what you were saying was really important, but I think that for the sake of the conversation and the listeners here, we needed to make sure that we clarified that for them.
And that's the thing is, it sometimes seems like it's so clear, so black and white, what's demonic, and what's not. When you Because when we're engaging and connecting in these things, the subtleness of them is that thing, that the temptation, the
Mm.
temptations that are thrown at us, those things that are drawing us away and drawing us to, and even good things, are involved in good things to the extreme, can be our being pulled by demonic forces, because as you were speaking, saying, Monica, that it is those things that drive us away from being our best selves, from fulfilling our purpose, get us caught up and creates the friction in relationships, because we don't recognize that there is a spirit that is involved in everything. There's a spiritual aspect to it. Even when we
Or we
talk about
do
our,
recognize it,
Yeah.
yes, yes, but I'm just
or
saying
and then we run
sometimes.
from it.
Right.
Well, I'm just saying, like,
That's
just for
why we need
example,
a resolution.
but I'm going to say, if I were, and as far as when we're talking about substance abuse and things like that, spending money, shopping sprees, and going on all this stuff, and we know we don't have it. What is driving us to do that? It's that driving force. What is the driving force behind all of these things that we look back when we stop to look at ourselves? We think about how we're feeling, that thing that's behind the trauma, why it's being carried along with us. What is that thing, and what is the purpose of it? Why?
The unaddressed trauma is
Yeah.
behind it, right? The
Mm.
things. So our listeners had some really great things that I wanted to come back on, which says we are creatures of habits. Changing habits require creating new habits, which is neuroplasticity. We talk about that often. It's about retraining our brains to see and create new habits. Changing is the greatest challenge, and you are absolutely right, Calvin. And
Amen.
Melvin says, I heard this once. What if I told you you were not the real you? I had to marinate on this one. This is because we are constantly growing all the time, good or bad. Our Savior showed us there is greatness in death, beauty in being reborn. Demonic can be defined as the pleasure we get from negative behaviors, actions, and results.
Mm,
I
Mm.
have to sit with that
mm,
one.
yeah,
Demonic can be defined as the pleasure we get from negative behavior, actions, and
and
results.
results.
Hmm.
Wow.
There has to be, and I think this thing too is the standards that we live by. Who sets the standards of what is right and what is wrong, what is good, what is evil? Where we start, where these standards are. And now you were talking about dying the old, killing off the old Ned. The
Mm-hmm.
scripture tells us that we're supposed to die daily,
God daily.
Mm-hmm.
die daily, killing off those aspects of us that are the things that, if left unchecked, will
Amen.
get us in a place where
Ruined
we're not desiring to go, because they're subtle. I think about Eve and Adam and Eve in the garden. When we talk about that first, from a biblical perspective, when we talk about that first enticement, that how our freedom to choose
it.
behind each
Mm-hmm.
of these things, and how the effect and impact of one choice can send us down a slippery slope, and we can end up where we didn't intend to be because we flirt with things. And I know it's like, when we're talking about this ending the year, and and at the death of anything is an opportunity for a rebirth.
Rebirth.
And so when we find ourselves at this place in the year, and a lot of people start thinking back and looking back and having a good time, and we say these things, we glance and look at ourselves, and we think really snap, quick thing. There's things that we know. We talk about Ned. We know some of these things that are we shouldn't be. We quickly say, "Oh, I'm gonna lose weight. I know I need to stop spending so much money. I know I'm going to start doing this thing, and I'm going to start doing that." And I think one of our listeners have posted about that this need to create new habit, and it's not something we take it lightly because we have not changed. We recognize this thing that is not so good in us, and but we're still the same old person, and we have not done the work or do not plan to do the work to get us at the point to make the change. Because sometimes I don't think we're ready to let go of this demon because they're too hard.
Mm,
We've gotten them, invited them in our home. We've even married these demons. we
Mm.
mm,
Mm.
we're engaged to them. And so because we're so connected to them, we talk about our chakras and our soulmates, and these habits or ways of functioning. We don't even realize it. They're so subtle.
mm,
Yeah. Yeah.
mm. Yeah, that's good.
So,
So I've been kind of quiet, and I'm sitting with this thing because there's just so much that goes through my mind, and I guess I need to tell myself my own thing is, Monica, take the cover off, right? And as I deal with this thing here, I'm sitting here and I'm just listening and I'm saying, is we can say all of this stuff, but when it's a person who's really going through and a person is really trying their hardest to they know that they need a new life. They know that they need to
mm.
rid this themselves of this thing, or they know that their life is void of something and they need to bring it in. The process by which to do it, it is a difficult process when you're trying to do it by yourself. It's a
Mm,
difficult process when you don't, and Jackie and I were talking earlier, and I said to her, it's funny because God gave me these words. Every year, God gives me the words. 2021, it was supposed to be healing and maturity, and every year, it turns out to be exactly what it's supposed to be. Not in the way that I think, but in other ways, right? This
mhm,
year, for 2022, the words became redemption and manifestation. And as Jackie was asking me this question earlier about like how I'm feeling and what's my thought process, goals, and things for the new year, one of the things that came to me was the fact that it had to be exposed, right? Exposure was a huge thing in this process. And as I go through a situation where someone I deeply love and I care for is struggling, I had to see myself beyond my own capacity and to be able to let go. to be able so that I could change. I had to expose me and the reasons why I was holding on so that they could get to the place that they needed to for their own help, and so that I could get to where I needed to for my own help. And so that the people around me who say that they love me could be invited into the conversation and into my lifestyle to help me move forward. And I
Mhm.
think that oftentimes we come to the conversations and these times of year wanting to see a new us because we're hurting, we're lacking something, and
Mhm.
we need something so bad that we taste it, but we don't know how to let it go. We
Mm.
don't know how to see ourselves beyond the moment. And so this conversation for me is to say, I got to expose it. That means that in order for me to see a new me going into the new year, and is it really about seeing a new me going into the new year, or for me to be able to expose the fact that and recognize and acknowledge that I am deficient in an area, that I'm
Mhm.
holding in something that I can't really and have not been created to hold in and to do the work
Mm.
by myself. Can I take this thing and can I give it up? Can I allow others in to help me move in the battle? And then can I allow, and I made a post the other day about the table. And as I continue to go through these
Yeah.
moments,
Mm.
can I sit back and can I sit at the table with God and allow God to show me myself? And then to be able to see what God has prepared for me
For
and
me.
allow the
Be able to partake of
conversation
it.
to work.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
So for
You
me,
can't
when we
take
talk
it.
about that, yeah,
I do. I
let's
don't
talk
want to
about
feel like I keep
Yeah.
doing this talking, but Monica, I applaud you for the sharing, because we're all in that place of being able to shine the spotlight on us. When we at this point in the year and to step back and look at it, and not about pointing the fingers out at other people about the situations and the circumstances that we may find ourselves in, but to start to look at ourselves and move beyond the demonic and
right.
to the God place.
Mhm.
Because those of us who have found healing in that relationship, we recognize that it is not something that we can do by ourselves,
Right.
but it's in the looking at where. And I started talking about that when I said that what is the standard. Ned, when you talked about identifying the you, who this
Mhm.
Ned was, who the new, and defining who this new Ned is going to be, because part of
Mhm.
that shedding the old, because sometimes we were never showing up as us in the first place.
Nope.
Right.
No, we sent our representative.
Yep.
Our representatives were out there, the
That's right.
imposter, engaging in
That's
all
what
kinds of
Melvin
stuff
said.
because we
Yep.
were
Yep.
hiding all the wounds and the experiences and the hurts, all of that stuff, and all the deficits and the lack, all of that stuff that we were clothed in, or dressing it up, Ned, dressing it
Yeah.
up with the
That's right.
provocative clothing.
Putting on the
Uh,
mask.
Getting the injections and
Mhm.
doing whatever else we needed to do. How many female conquest men can we get? How many women can I slay this weekend? How many? We created all types of environment. What can I
Mm.
do to myself now, because I'm not so happy with me just as me? So I don't know if how many of us really know who we really are. And it's
Right.
in the
Right.
Right.
midst of the difficulties, the pains, and we recognize when things start not going so good. It takes humility to be able
Mm.
to stop and take a serious look at ourselves. But when we look at ourselves, there has to be a standard. What is the standard of what we say my life is going to be like?
Mhm.
Who set the standard? Which is why a lot of us have been drawn to God and religion,
Right.
because we let that be our
Higher
standard.
power.
Then
Yes.
that's that being
Yep.
our standard. Then we let that be that is our guide. We start to
Mm.
say, I'm going to align myself. This
Yeah.
new me,
Mhm.
it can only be fulfill what I need to fulfill when I get a true understanding. And the problem that I have here is, if we have not been taught,
Mm.
if we have not been taught, if it has not been modeled for us, if we don't have a community to embrace us and show us how to get out, Monica, how to let go, because letting go is a process. Letting go
Yeah.
is a process, because we keep want to grab back to it. And I may, that's when we're talking about any addiction, healing, and releasing. We know it's a process. And all of these hurts, we're addicted to the hurt.
Codependencies.
Yeah.
We're addicted to all of it. And because of it, it's a process of letting go. And so we get to this time of the year and we look at it, not to get depressed and to feel down, but we're looking at ourselves in a way. And I like how the scripture talks about examining, how we're supposed to let a man examine himself, not to search out and find all the bad things about you and to tear you down, but where is that good in you to build you up, because we're going to build on that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jackie,
I
I'm
agree with
hearing
you,
you.
Mom.
I'm gonna take a collection for that one, Mom.
Yeah.
But you said something that's key. Everybody is at a different stage of readiness for change. And one thing I've learned in my own personal healing journey is, and I say this all the time, whether I'm preaching or teaching, I had to examine myself, because we're easily, the first thing we do is point the finger at somebody else. But I know me, and I know what I will do. I know what I could get away with doing, and I know what I ain't supposed to be doing that I'm doing. But when I examine myself, the key is, what am I measuring myself up against? And if you measure yourself up against, the person next to you, you ain't got far to go. You ain't got far to go. But because we measure, what we measure against is divine. And sometimes we're hard on ourselves and we defeat ourselves before we even get started. That's why some of us are still the same old you. And I used to say this to pastors all the time. You have to be able to teach and preach to where the people get hope from what you're teaching. Yes. Because if you're showing me my deficiencies and telling me what's wrong with me and how I should be doing that I'm not doing, and I'm always coming up short, why am I even going to try? But if I can see an ounce, and that's one thing we cannot live without. I said we can't live without hope. And that's why a lot of people stay stuck in the person that they knew. We all fear the unknown to some degree. We don't know. And yes, we've all appeared as somebody other than ourselves or the person we thought we were. And it wasn't until I started healing, till I realized the person that I became and the person that I'm becoming are two different people. I became that person because of my situation, my circumstances, my environment. But that's not who God created me to be. So where I got comfortable with, I was comfortable with somebody that wasn't even me. I got stuck being somebody that wasn't even the person that God created me to be. So when I prayed, and this was an honest prayer, I prayed to God, because I don't talk to man because they tell you business. You tell man something, the next thing you know, it's on a social media post. I'm asking for a friend. They ain't asking for a friend. They putting you out there indirectly. But I had to really sit down and ask myself, what was I holding on to? And my prayer was, God, I want to let it go. Help me to let it go. And then help me to let it stay there. Because once you let it go and feel the freedom and the liberation, you don't want to pick that back up and be bound. You don't want to pick that back up and be living in torment, living in torture. And you know what? Sometimes we do it to ourselves. We do ourselves an injustice because, you know what? I'm good here. But what if you took one step and you walked right into greatness? Good here is no longer an issue because you stepped into greatness. So when we get people beyond, and this is where when you change what you see will change. When people realize what's in them and that there's greater in them, you're not comfortable with the same old you. I pushed myself to be something, and I tell people all the time, they be like, what you eating? Are you dieting? Your skin looks great. You lost weight. When I let go, when I decided, because the weight I carried was the weight I carried. People, places. When I started letting things go, and I didn't care what they say, because you know what? It was about me. It was about me being the person that I knew I could be. Oh, you changed. You right, I changed. I'm going to change again. So wait around another 8 years, you see another me.
See another one.
Right.
Right? But
that's right. And that's the point.
Yep.
Forever evolving.
Always. Yeah. Always looking to grow.
Yes. And if you don't, you got a problem. because I don't know nobody that's want to be dead, stay dead, but we walking in the streets and live. No, because it's all about evolution. It's all about elevation. It's all about tapping into what's in you. And I tell people all the time, as an athlete, I'm taught to be competitive. But when I can't find somebody that I can be competitive with, I'm competitive against myself.
Right. I go after me.
I push myself. I go hard because you know what? As an athlete, you're told you never want to be in the same place that you were last year. You want to get a year better. You want to be a year wiser. Yes. And as a human being, I let myself go no less than that. I look back at what I've accomplished in the last 12 months.
Right.
And I started back in July. Now I gotta finish this out. I gotta finish that. I gotta finish that because December is coming. I didn't wait till December 29th to say I want a resolution. It don't work like that. But you know what? I had to not push myself. Two, I had to surround myself with people that wasn't going to allow me, knowing my gifting, my anointing, my talent. Yo, I ain't gonna allow you to stay here. My boy Dre, he calls me. What you got in the bag this week? What you doing?
Pushing you.
I need you on the show. And you know what? I'm not gonna allow myself to stay the same. The people I surround myself with should not allow me to stay the same as well, if they are really true friends and family indeed.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I'm gonna make sure that we shed light on that right there, because I think that oftentimes we don't want to expose ourselves and be in community with the people who want to see us be at our greatest because of shame, because of fear, and because of our own inability to see ourselves greater than the thing that we have this disorderly attachment to.
Yeah.
And
I wouldn't say
that is
disorderly. I would say unlawful.
okay. Yeah.
Unlawful.
Okay.
So tell me what your unlawful represents, and I'll finish up what I was gonna say.
Anything that is counterproductive to your destiny and your purpose is unlawful. If
Okay.
God did not put it in your, because sometimes
It
God
ain't
put,
law.
It ain't.
it ain't law. It ain't, because let me tell you,
Now
I
that's
tell people
law.
this all the time. And I just said this to a young man who has great potential. Just like the angels and God know, the devil knows your potential too. And you think he
Yeah.
ain't gonna
Yes.
come dressed as,
Look in the
potential?
graveyard.
You everything you looking for, he gonna be it just to snag you.
Yes.
And he knows just as much about you as the next man.
Absolutely.
And this is where
Demonic.
we get blindsided.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
Yeah,
mhm.
that's the
Yeah.
demons. That's their
Absolutely.
job.
That's the
Yeah. So as I continue out with what I was saying, as far as us being able to open ourselves up and to be in communion with those who really love us, one of the things that I have recognized is that we hold ourselves captive. We imprison our own selves when we don't allow ourselves to be set free by letting the loved ones really know what's going on. And yeah, we might not want to hear what they have to say. Yeah, it might be ugly, and yeah, we might know that what they're saying is true, but the reason that they're there is to help us along in the process, because it takes a lot, and you might not want to do the work. You might not want to do the work that it takes to do it, but you got to. So I had this conversation yesterday with my brother, and he said something to me, and he said, "You have to put you first.
Yeah. Yeah.
You first."
Yeah.
As I say, putting you first is a necessity. I'm gonna ask you guys, if there's someone out there that says that it's not working for them, the things that they're doing, it isn't working for them. What are some of the ways that we can give them to help them pivot, to be able to look inward, as mom says, do that self evaluation, so that they can see the areas of growth that are needed for them to be able to do that reinventing of themselves, or that dying, or just making themselves new again. What are some of those things that we can give a person who's struggling in that area?
keeping it real.
Ned,
Keep it real. Keep it real.
I
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
I wanted to defer to you, Ned, because I saw you look like you had something to respond.
I do.
Uh,
I
she
Speak
do.
it.
So, yeah, so I think that's important, and I think a lot of times we talk about how to, without really giving some folks uh, a foundation or something that they can hold on to or stand on. And so Jackie pulls out a side of me, when she starts talking about the fact that, her athletic days, and so
Mm-hmm.
having been an
Come
ex-athlete
on,
and a
coach.
coach, right?
Come on,
So
coach.
I immediately went to my days of coaching track and field. And as a track and field coach, we always talk to our athletes about PRing,
Mm.
your personal best, your personal record,
Mm-hmm.
being
Mm.
you, your best from the day before. And I think that consistency towards your personal growth, that commitment to that personal growth is something that helps us build that better you. When you say to
Mm.
yourself, I want to be better than I was yesterday. You know what I mean? When you're able to look in the mirror at the end of the day and say, hey, here's some things that I didn't do well today. God's willing, I'm going to work on those things tomorrow. You know, being able to put in that extra effort that it takes to be better than it was the day before. Those are the big things. So for me, it's commitment and consistency. Those two
Mm.
attributes will always help you push forward, even when you don't feel like it. Because as Jackie said, ain't nothing worse than competing against you. Because we're sometimes our worst critic. But if
Mm.
I say to
Mm.
myself, I got to do better than I did yesterday, it ain't got nothing to do with anybody else. This doesn't point the finger at anybody. I don't have to hold myself against anybody else's image. I'm looking in the mirror at Ned and I'm saying, dude, you got to do better. Yesterday, you ran this speed. Tomorrow, you cannot do that again. You got to do better than you did today. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Hey, I lifted this much or I helped somebody today. Tomorrow, I'm helping two people.
Mm.
I got to challenge me. And so it only happens through that commitment to the process and being consistent with it.
So we're
I like
saying that
that.
it's not what I'm hearing is that
Mhm.
this is not about a resolution.
Right. Nor reinventing yourself.
Mm-mm.
It's not.
But what we need is not the resolution. It's what we need is to be able to sit with ourselves, and instead of looking at the worst in us and trying to get a resolution together, to look at what's good. What is it, the coach? To look at my personal best and that thing in me, that desire in me, and feet to do this thing and to move in this positive direction and to feed that one step at a time. Don't let it die. To keep that
Right.
ever in front of me. Because if I'm constantly looking at this desire that I have, this yearning, I share with you. I have been, and I got this Weight Watchers, this scale, and I had connected with this weight loss thing. Because I figured that it would help me because I had an injury, and I'm like, I need to get my weight under control. I'm not happy with what I've done. I'm just letting myself go here, and so I connected with this. They sent me this thing about joining this group. Now, see, this is the key: the group that we connect ourselves with, people who have
Mm-hmm.
like mindset,
Mhm.
people who are doing the thing that we want to do. Not that for a put down, just connecting with them, not have to share our story, getting out of that comfort zone, those demons, and away from that old me and looking at where I want to go. There's so many stories that I could tell you about my life, but getting on this scale, I'm back to this one. And they tell you all these, you go on every day, they have a thing they share with you and they coach you along. I get on, I get off the thing with them. Do you weigh yourself every day? Then I go and I'm like, I gotta this sweet thing. I gotta have this. I just want to have this. I don't want
Mm.
anything telling me what I gotta eat and what I don't want that type of restriction on myself. So I said,
Mm.
you know what? I'm not going to restrict myself, but I'm going to think about the techniques and the tools that they gave me to be mindful of what I'm doing in the
Mhm.
moment, not just to go doing it, just going along. Really be mindful of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Because I had to stop to think about what I was doing. Because I could find myself going along, even and end up in a place I don't want to be. When I get on the scale, Jackie, what the scale said. I lost nothing, but I thought I was doing something. I didn't want to do it their way, but I was reducing the stuff, and I was trying to adjust, and it's still the scale wasn't. But then I said, you know what I said? I said, I'm going to make this thing work. Because they said do it in moderation, be mindful. And as I became more mindful over time, because this is what one of our listeners had said about habits, as I started to pay attention to what I was doing and the why I was doing it.
Yes, yes.
There it is.
Gradually, through time, I started letting go because I was more mindful of what I was doing. Then I stepped on the scale. I had to be gracious and give myself some grace. It's okay if it's not moving fast. I watched it and it said it went up a pound or a half a pound. I'm like, that's a warning sign. I'm going in the wrong direction. You see what I'm saying? If we're more mindful and intentional about this life that we live, instead of just going along and flowing and saying, I'm not happy with this place that I'm in, to look at this place that I'm in and say, I have the capability. I know I may not have the job. I may not have the finances, but if I'm going to start with just changing my attitude and being a better me in this thing that I have and building on that little piece of it, maybe not a resolution because then I'll start to feel guilty if I broke it. And that's another way to keep me bound. But just to say that my goal is, because I'm evolving and I'm in the process, is to keep moving. Pick one area, one aspect. I mean, not to make it a resolution, but to say I'm going to be mindful about this thing. I'm going to be intentional about how I move with it. Monica, when you were talking about I'm taking the covers off and I know I had this connection and I had to really think about and let go and invite other people in, because you had to become aware of it. And let us not know this and fool ourselves. Birth is painful. I mean, we can get epidurals and different things to kind of alleviate the pain. But
that's good.
Pain and the letting go. It's a process that we can't avoid. But we can sit back and look at and sit at that table, Monica, and think about it differently and not to be so again, I'm on this, not beating ourselves up. And not looking at everything as if it's a punishment, because I think about Job and that even in the negativity that surrounded him, even in negativity, he recognized there was a force that he didn't even realize that was behind it, and he had to stay connected to that thing, a positiveness. The friends were there, but they weren't offering him what he needed, and so he went to the source. And so my offering to people is, you got to get a spiritual source. You got to get a secret place, a place where you can be real with you, like you were saying, Jack.
Right.
Yeah.
A place to be real and allow yourself to be ministered to at that table, recognizing that you can't do it. When we realize that this is something that we can't do by ourselves.
Accountability.
And thank you, Ned, because that's where I'm coming in on that accountability piece, right? Ma, you said something that's real key. You have to set a goal. And I do believe, this is my personal belief. Nobody has to believe with me. This is my personal belief. I've seen it happen. Until you are intentional, you got to be intentional about it.
Wow.
My intention was to heal, not to lose weight. My intention was to heal.
That's the key.
And when I started healing, I couldn't look at nobody else. I had to look inward at me. And like you said, why I did what I did. What can cause it if it came back again to do the same thing, and why I didn't like it when I did it the first time, why did I do it the second time?
Come back
and then I had to really say some harsh things to myself and give myself a reality check, because at the end of the day, no matter what happened, I was in control of what I did.
Right.
So part of my healing, one, I had to expose myself. My healing, I tell people I got the Holy Ghost in my living room, not in church. I got delivered in my house, not in church. So when I talk to God, it ain't I'm in church prophesying, doing all that. No, I'm in my living room, like I'm talking to you guys. Yo, God, what's up? I've been doing this. I went through this. I went through that. This happened to me, and I bounced back. But it seems you ain't fair. I don't think, and this is how I talk to God. I don't, I have a way I talk to him in church to help them. But when I'm in my house,
Right.
when I'm in my house, I'm like, yo, God, what the hell
Hey,
is going
What
on?
is up?
What's
Like,
this? Where did this come from? I wasn't
right.
ready for this. And this is how I talk to God, because you know what? The Bible says, and the Bible says, they that worship must worship in spirit and in truth. I
And
true.
can't keep
true.
it real with my boys on the corner and then come to God with this facade, this fake person, because he know that's not how I
Right.
talk. So when I go to him, I talk to him like I'm talking to my boys or my people. Like, yo, God, what the hell is this? You warned me about that one, but you ain't showed me this. But you know what? And him showing me this, and this is what I tell people all the time. When you with God in your private time, he ain't gonna show you everybody and never show you you.
No,
God is
he's gonna
showing
show
Right.
you
you.
me.
He's
Amen.
gonna get to you.
Yes. Because I can't help nobody else till I help myself.
That's
And
right.
I
Right.
got tired of the same old me. Let me tell you, I got tired of myself. And I said to myself, I said, yo, Cook, get it together. And that's how I talk to me.
Mhm.
I know every character, I know all the names. Yo, Jay, what's with this? This ain't what you're supposed to be doing. Yo, what's good, son? What's up?
What are you doing?
That's how I talk to me, because you know what? At the end of the day, if I don't talk to me, if I don't push me, I ain't going nowhere. And I had to
Mm,
really say to myself, you know
internal.
what? You could have been, you would have been. And then I
Mm,
said, you know what? Buckle down and get it done. Because can't
get it
nobody
done.
motivate you like you motivate yourself. At
Get
the end
it
of the
done.
day,
Yeah.
I can't say, oh, my mother. God ain't looking for my mother when I come to the gate. He ain't looking for my grandmother or my great grandmother. He looking for me. He gonna tell me what
Right.
I did or what I didn't do. So I have to deal with me and say, you know what? I'm bringing me to every encounter I go to. It can't be
That's right.
everybody. It can't be the
Mm,
boss and my
That's right.
mother.
That's
It
right.
can't be the
That's
boss,
right.
my
How
mother,
am
and my
how
sister.
am I showing up?
Yes.
That's right.
What is it about me? And
Mm-hmm.
the reality was, as gifted and as talented as we are, I learned how to church. I could do church in my sleep. You can wake me up in
oh,
the middle of the
that's
night and give
wild.
me a
Right.
microphone and I can rock a crowd with no problem. But is that what God created me
Man.
for?
Is that what
No.
he's calling? Yes.
That's not what he calling me for. So I had to look at me and say, you know what? Don't let them pimp you, because that's what they need. Because sometimes our
Right.
church, our family pimps us, and that's how we stay the same
That's
old us,
right.
because that's
Yes.
what
Come
they need us
on.
to be. You know, don't
Amen.
move, don't
Amen.
buy no,
Yep.
don't go nowhere. We need you to.
Yeah.
Instead of letting
It's
you
good
cook your
enough.
wings and grow and go to be who God created you to be. You stay stuck and you stay comfortable for your family, for your spouse, for this, and God is sitting back like, that's not who I created you
It's
to
not,
be.
and that's not what I told you either. Because sometimes he's actually spoken it to us, and we still sit there thinking, "Okay, I'm just going to
Was
do
that
what's
really what you
comfortable."
said?
Right?
Did you really mean
Did you
that?
really?
Yeah,
Give me
That's
another
what you meant,
sign.
say
Give
to
me
Liz.
God
another
that you really
sign.
didn't really mean that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's
This
that
is
internal struggle. That's that internal struggle. And that's why
Yes.
we stay the same old person and never change, because we fighting these
Year after
inner
year after
demons.
year.
Yes. The
And we're
inner
mm,
me
afraid.
is my enemy. And the
mhm.
outside ain't my
We're
enemy, it's the
afraid.
inner me.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think that thing, and I know our time is winding down, but you know what? There is, and I just have to keep saying this. There is a deep fear in this dying to self, in this
Yes.
Mm,
being able to take a look at me and not be victim.
Mm.
Because we can look at ourselves and say, God, look at us another year, and this is where I am, and I wanted this, and I tried, and I did this good. And we can lie to ourselves and make ourselves think that we have done all that we can do, and we have been doing the right thing, which is why when you say, Cookie, what you doing? you
Mm.
know, when you look at yourself and you start questioning yourself and you say, now get real, you know that was wrong that you did. You know you made
Hmm.
some wrong moves, and that's why you ended up at this place. And you're looking back and saying, "What was me?" We blaming it on COVID. We blaming it on all everything else. But then we have to settle down and say, take that hard look at us and move beyond the fear. A part of that movement is
Mm.
make a plan, connecting with our community, people, positive people who are doing, and I think I said this before, who are going in the way that you want to go. And you'll find yourself in places with opportunities. When you're intentionally looking and seeking, opportunities will come up.
Yes, they
Where
will.
if your
Intentional.
eyes are open to it, you'll be able to
Mm.
take advantage of it.
Yeah.
But that's only because you've gotten serious about this thing and
yeah.
not starting to make excuses about why you're here and why you're a victim to of circumstance and how I can't do this and I can't do that. But just looking
Right.
at the hope, Jackie. the hope, Ned. When he could looking at the hope that the future represents, that's on the outside. The promised land is right over there. I know what the spies came back and told you. They told you that the stuff was good over there. They told you about the promise. The spies did that, but there was only thing. But they said we can't go over there because there are giants in the land, and so they were in their own eyes
Right.
as
Right.
grasshoppers.
right.
We think we can't, and we stay stuck. When it's all right there, it took them 40 years.
To time, how long was
Those
the
are the
journey?
things
3-day journey?
3 day.
Yeah.
life could have been so
Yeah,
different.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing that we feared, because we're listening to the demons, that we connect not to the demons, but with the possibility that there is that greater there, and for us, not just there, but greater for us. We won't take the steps that we need to take to connect where we need to connect to freedom.
Yes.
And thinking that we had to do it by ourselves, we kept on going and we didn't get the rest that was prepared for us in the presence of our enemies at the table. The leading beside the still waters. We neglected it. We took the hard way. Yea, though I walked through the valley. Yes, it was scary down there, but there was nourishment for you. You didn't have to fight. This battle is not yours. All we had to do is rest and to allow ourselves to look inward and receive the revelation, hear the message of hope that's out there for us, to take hold of it. And that's free to anyone. You don't have to leave your house. You can stay home and be free.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
That's better than that's great.
Yeah.
I like that you don't have to leave your house, because a lot of people don't understand freedom is a mindset.
Amen.
And I laugh because I think about being imprisoned, but being free. And a lot of us, when we carry around the same old me, the same old you're free, but you're in prison. You're held captive to something or someone that's not even real. It's not even you. And it's somebody that evolved because of circumstances and situation. And I think about that, the same old me. Like when I look at personally, I set goals, like things that I want to accomplish. And sometimes I put a lot of pressure on myself to achieve it because, I know what I can do. I know what I'm capable of. However, some people don't understand that if you can't do it within yourself, get an accountability partner. Get somebody that's going to push you. And my first push came from somebody who I didn't even like, but I've grown to love. And they were like, yo, you're so much like me that it's a shame. You're a female version of me. And I'm like, what? But when I sat down and talked to that man, it was just like, you are for me. I need you for me. Somebody that I could say, you know what? I need to be pulled in. Or they'll come up to me like, yo, you were wrong with that one. But it helped me to get beyond where I was. And I God bless his soul, Pastor James Holcomb, Unity Baptist Church in Orange. He walked up to me one day. He said, be who you are. And I'm looking at him like, yo, I just got ordained an elder. Is he crazy? He said, no. Be who you are. Don't dumb down for these people. They want you to stay humble. And I was like, yo, how many times have we remained the same old us because people told us, oh, stay humble. Oh, you got to stay lowly. You got to stay meek. And we stayed the same, didn't try to advance ourselves, didn't try to push ourselves.
Somebody else.
Yep.
Right. There you go.
And that's exactly why it's important to always do your best day after day after day, because you're not setting the standard by someone else's, measuring stick. It's yours. It's God's.
Yeah.
God has already told you and has shown you your potential. And so you should always be striving to do better and more, not going off of what someone else's opinion of you should be.
Yeah.
We got to claim it for yourself, your vision. See yourself in a different way as royalty. And aspire to that.
That's right.
One step at a time, one aspect of you. If you can't be it all together, then just one aspect at a time. Get to it.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah.
Every step counts.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you want to know who you are, ask the person that created you. Because I can't tell
Hello.
you who you are. Go to the inventor and have that
Yes.
conversation with the inventor. Because that's
And
one thing I said to
define your
God.
purpose. And
Yes.
there
That's right.
you'll
Yes.
find your purpose.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. As we wrap up today, I really just want to go back to our title of today was a new year, but not a no, not a so new you. And one of the things that I really want our listeners to walk away with is the fact that as we go into 2022, the focus shouldn't be about creating, reinventing, or setting resolutions to become a new you. That really it's about focusing on healing my heart
Hmm.
and renewing my mind. What is my
Yes.
focus? And that the
Mhm.
ways in which we can get there is number one is through our truth telling and our constant commitment to truth telling, which is allowing ourselves to expose us for who, what, and why we really are and where we're going. And then to also do the work of forgiving ourselves, the forgiveness, right? So that
Yeah.
Yes.
forgiving of ourselves, those
Grace.
who
Extend
are,
grace to ourselves.
yes, grace and mercy,
Mercy.
and
Yes.
then being able to connect with like-minded community.
Yeah.
So oftentimes we want to connect with community, but if they're not community, and when I say like-minded, not the mind where we are right now, but
Where we want
those
to
who
go.
love us, yeah, who love us to the point of saying they're not ashamed to say this is not you, Monica. This not for you, Monica. This isn't where you're supposed to be, Monica. Why are you
Hmm.
here, Monica? For those who tell you to love yourself and put yourself first. That is your community upon which you surround yourself with and you do the work with. And be unafraid of the process. Be
That's right.
unafraid of the process. For I know the plans for
Hmm.
you,
And I have to
never to
say
harm
this
you.
too, be that for someone else.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Mm,
Because
that's
we're
good.
going into
Yep.
the year and we're saying it's all about us and looking at us, but what that we think that whatever it is that we need, that we're
Hmm.
feeling that we need, take the opportunity to be that and give that, extend that to someone
Hmm.
else. That's a part of your healing. It's a part of my healing. For you to
Yeah.
be that for me, just as I'm that for you, that's community.
Yeah.
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 That's good. That's good. Well, we thank you guys and we appreciate you and all of the time that you spend with us. We thank you for your commitment to showing up every single week with us at 5 p.m. Join us next Wednesday again in the throne room as we do a kickoff for the new year and we introduce all of the new things that will be coming forth. We're excited and we can't wait to share with you. We can't wait to see you in those new spaces. If you guys ever need to reach out, if there's any questions or concerns, we are here for you. Please feel free to reach out to us at royaltymissionnetwork.net. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Have a great rest of the week and a happy new year.
Enjoy.
Happy New
Yes.
Year,
Happy
everybody.
New
Enjoy.
Year.